All right, folks, welcome to The Edge. Doing amazing things here. I'm just performance, motivation, everything men. And I got a guy right now who I think epitomizes everything that the Edge DNA was meant to be. He's scaled simultaneously capital, money, an audience, massive audience, and identity. Most entrepreneurs can scale one. Grant has scaled all three. Let's bring in Grant Cardone right now. Literally the DNA of The Edge. Grant, really good to have you on. How you doing, my man?
Good, man. I'm doing great, Eric. Thanks for having me, and congratulations on everything you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So I watch a lot of your videos, Grant, and one thing that strikes me is you talk a lot about, massive action, motivation, 10x thinking. But at what point does relentless ambition stop being about discipline? And at what point does it become ego dressed up as ambition? Let's talk a little bit about the difference between ambition and ego, how they cross each other's paths, and which one takes the lead and when.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question. I've never been asked that, but I would say that, look, it started when there was more ego in the beginning than there is now. Like in the beginning, the ego was, I just got out of a treatment center for drug addiction. And the ego was like, I got to rebuild my life, dude. Like I was a piece of shit and I did not feel good about myself. The community I lived in didn't feel good about me. My family had given up trust on me. And so it was like, I got to rebuild. And that was ego driven. And I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, I was a drug addict for 10 years of my life, Eric, and I used drugs every day for 10 years. Tried to quit for 10 years, dude. Like I was a loser, bro. And when I would go to these drug addicts meetings, and they would be like, ego is, because they said I was going to stumble because of my ego. And they're like, ego means edging God out. I'm like, bruh, like my ego needs me to demonstrate what God gave me. And I'm not doing that. I've been failing for 10 years. Like you guys can come up with all your little fucking acronyms if you want to, but the reality is God has given me a bunch of gifts, as I believe God has given everyone, and I'm not using them. And I refuse to not use them. And so back then, dude, it was like, I need to build a name. I need to build a brand. I want to get my money right. I want to get my car right. I lived in a piece of shit apartment. Fuck yeah, you goddamn right. My ego was driving the improvement of the quality of my life. Today, I mean, I got a bunch of stuff, and that's not really, back then I wanted my first watch. Now I don't even want to wear a watch. You know what I mean?
You know how I know what you mean, Grant? I've been very open on this show. I mean, I told people about plastic surgery I've had to stay competitive in the TV world. I came from dirt poor. We were dirt poor in Chicago. Couldn't afford anything. My mom worked. The whole story, real honest to God, dirt poor in Chicago. The only thing that saved me was baseball. And I remember one day I blew my shoulder out. Couldn't play baseball anymore. I went to the trading floor in New York and got hired by a guy. I could see that there was opportunity to make a lot of money there. The problem is it was 1985 or so. Coke was everywhere. It was flying, especially in places where a lot of money was flowing. And of course, I got involved in all the things I shouldn't have got involved in. Like, I'll never forget, Grant. I was starting to make money. I realized this was an opportunity to get out of poverty and maybe stay out of poverty for good. And I started playing with the guys, and we were going out with whatever girls and whatnot, and cocaine and this. And I remember, never forget, one night, all night, I went right to the trading floor, high all night, went right to the trading floor, and I got my ass handed to me on the trading floor. And whatever it was, it just clicked. And I was like, you know what? If I want that world, I can be a partier. I'll never make it, and I'll never get out of poverty. Well, here's an opportunity. And Grant, I don't know what made me switch, but I quit at that moment on the trading floor after getting my ass handed to me. And, it was a trial and tribulation, but that was the impetus. What was there one for you? Was there one thing that said,
oh, no, I mean,
that stuff?
Dude, when they say you can find a bottom, for everybody that's ever really been through the drug thing, that every bottom has another bottom. Like you think you hit bottom, it can always get worse. And it was as bad as it can get for a drug addict. I guess the straw that broke the camel's back, as they say, it was when my mom, my most the strongest connection I had in my life was my mom. I mean, I lost a baseball career over drugs. And you would have thought that was the love of my life. and again, you know what I mean. If you love baseball, you love baseball. So, and then, but it was when my mom told me, "Hey, dude, don't come back here anymore."
Wow.
And 2 weeks later, I was in
Wow.
a treatment center. Yeah, she's
Because
like,
you
"I'm
were
done."
because you were high.
Yeah, she's like, I'm
and I know
finally
that
done.
feeling, Grant. I know the feeling of not wanting to disappoint parents. I mean, that really was a huge motivator for me
Yeah.
because I saw how hard they worked, how
Yeah.
little money we had, and how hard they worked. And the thought of I'm fucking this whole thing up. I have a golden goose in my hand right here, and I'm going to let it go because I'm sorry. Go ahead. You can finish that thought.
No, dude. It was just like, okay, that was it, right? So 2 weeks later, I was in a treatment center for drug addiction. I remember meeting this guy, Bob. Bob was like 55 years old. Bob's shaking, man. He's like, and he's been in like 3 or 4 treatment centers. I'm 25. I'm like, bro, what took you so long to get here? And he's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? You know? And he's shaking, and I'm like, bro, like, I've only been in this game 10 years. You look like shit, man. So I felt good about that because I'm like, I'm only 25. I can rebuild my life here, and I'm never coming back. I left that treatment center 28 days later when the money ran out, the insurance money, and the counselor told me on the way out, look, you're coming back. I said, I think his name was Phil. And he's like, you're coming back. I said, bro, I ain't never coming back. He's like, oh yeah, you're coming back. You're the kind that always comes back because you want to get rich, you want to write books, you want to change the world, you want to be this, well-known person. Because those were always dreams of mine, dude. Mm. And drugs actually ruin those dreams. Like I would tell your audience, I have never seen anybody use drugs and win, including weed, by the way. Yeah. Okay. Like the only people that I want to use drugs are people I compete with. Please smoke weed. If you and me are going to try to get a real estate deal, please smoke some weed on the way to the meeting because I am going to fucking smoke you. So literally. So anyway, I left there. Paul or Phil, whatever his name was quite an inspiration because he said, you're coming back. It's been 42 years. I never went back. I did get rich. I did write a bunch of books. I'm proud of the success I have. I'm 22 years married, great marriage, beautiful 2 kids I homeschool. And, I own 5 companies that are privately held. I've never taken any money from Wall Street or big banks. And, I'm proud of the way I built my deal. So,
you built an empire, Grant Cardone. You certainly
well,
did.
I don't know if it's an empire, but it's a start.
It's for a lot of people, it's an empire, and it's maybe not your end goal of what your idea of the empire is, but it certainly is an empire from this point of view perspective. You're making money now. Now, at what point? So here's the question: a lot of people, and I'm very successful now. I made a shit ton of money trading. Thank God. Thank my ability to do math and very well.
Yeah.
But at some point, it became an obsession to me. The money became more existential to me. So the wins were great, but it was just a bigger brag, right?
Yeah.
And the losses were existential. They felt so much worse. And everyone has to find that gas and brake and balance in their life. Have you found it yet, or is it still there?
Yeah, look, I'm not obsessed with money. I the money is not the game for me. Like, it is. It's really the game, dude. I am obsessed with the game. Yeah. It really doesn't matter what the game is, by the way. It could be gin, it could be backgammon. It could be pickleball if my rotor cuffs were better. It's the game, bro. Like, there's 2 things that really drive me. One is the game, and the second thing is, I want to help people, and I don't think that I can help people. While I learn a lot from my losses, I don't believe losses are a way to help people. Like. Yeah, I got over drug. The losses of drug addiction do not benefit anyone. Me succeeding in recovering from my drug addiction can help a lot of people, if you know what I mean. Me losing a real estate deal, I can learn something from it, but me accumulating 47 properties without going to J.P. Morgan or Goldman Sachs or KKR and taking a knee, and I'm a blue collar kid from a refinery town, and I built a $5 billion real estate business without kneeling down to the kings. That's a massive amount
What was more
example?
What's more important to you, Grant? Was it the number, the $5 billion, or the fact that you didn't have to kneel at the altar of investment banking?
Yeah, probably not kneeling, dude. Not kneeling, because it would be 50 if I'd have taken the knee.
Yeah.
Because they'll give me 10 times the money. So sometimes I think that was stupid, by the way. I mean,
I love about Grant, guys. I gotta stop. I love about Grant. Grant is one of the rare, really, really successful folks. Will tell you, fuck that up. I messed that up. Most of them, the ego is so big. Mark Cuban, they never do anything wrong. But Grant is the other side, which is really, really humbling and becoming and likable. You said something very important. One of your videos.
Let me just say, Eric, on that one point about not going to the banks, not going to the banks, that is very ego driven, but I think there's also underneath that is a lot of fear and insecurity that I didn't know how to talk to the banks, that they were smarter than me, I was going to get rejected. There's a whole bunch of other layers of bullshit going on for me underneath that story of why I didn't go there. Mm-hmm. I can say, I didn't take the ring and I didn't take a knee, but I'd have $50 billion real estate rather than $5. So financially it was kind of stupid. And it was very ego driven that I'm doing this my way, where the truth is, okay, maybe, but maybe I was just scared to go in there and get the meetings, or scared if I could pull it off in front of those guys.
You probably could, and then again, it's that whole thing. If I want to get
I went and pitched them in September. I pitched 8 different banks, and it was the easiest pitch I've ever done in my life. All 8 of them are just like, fuck, let's go. But you didn't
want to be beholden to the bank. Is that what it is, or why didn't you?
Well, I haven't done it with them. I could maybe, but because I have my retail audience now, I'm not going to have to do it their way. I'll probably get some better compromise because of the position I'm in today. But anyway, I was just telling you the flip side of that thing. Me not wanting to do it my way could have been some insecurities and fears on the other side of that.
And I want to get this out here because it was really stuck with me. And watching your videos is, you said one of the most difficult things to do, but one of the most important things to do, you want to be successful in business, is let people go. And then you went further and said some people were there. They were supportive from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And it really hit home because so many of us, you're doing well. And the people who were there from the beginning you want to take care of them. But if they've changed or become dead weight, time to jettison them. Yeah. Go ahead, take it.
Yeah. No. It's the hardest thing to do, dude. Everybody talks about getting good people. How do I get good people? I think people should be more concerned about how to get rid of people you love, how to get rid of people that have been with you. Betty, that's been with you since the beginning, and she was so good, and you outgrew her, dude. You're going to outgrow people. I had the same conversation with Kevin Hart. Kevin's got his posse. They never changed. I said, oh, bro, that's going to change. Okay. I mean, Jesus,
Yeah, but wait, hold on. Kevin Hart, they've got groupies. They got people who are on the bandwagon. They see he's going to be successful, and they just kind of hang on. When in business, you hire people, they're there, and they make the commitment to you, and then they become something else. That's a little different than just the guy who's feeding off the host.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you, but everybody feeds off the host, dude. Come on, man. There's a leader, and then there's everybody else. And I think in our society today, we don't talk enough about leadership. The individual is a difference maker. It is not the mass. It is not the group. And it is not the posse. It is the leader. Without a leader, there is no posse. And I know this sounds arrogant, but there are individuals in society that have more power and more, clarity about the path forward than the group does. The group typically needs a leader. And if the group, by the way, without the leader, boom, they just, who knows what they do? They do nothing. Tom Brady's one of those guys, dude. He could go to any team and win. And he's an individual. Now, he's going to always credit the team, right? But the reality is, in any given season, it was really only 2 or 3 of them. And the rest of them were no names. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Betty, when I came on, there was a girl named Cheryl that worked with me. She was great, while I was a $2 million business, but there's no way she could play what I'm doing today. Good chick, great person, phenomenal. There was Bob Moore. Bob Moore was a promoter when I was 34 years old. He told me that I could never break into the general public. I would never be a public speaker. I would never write books. He said, you need to stay in your niche. There's no way. Well, I outgrew Bob. And so there's people along the way that helped me that then got in the way of helping me. They didn't want to help me anymore because any more strength or power or recognition or money or whatever became a threat to some of those people. And that starts with family, Eric. I'm sure you've had some family that really didn't want you to change and become who Eric Bowling is today.
Yeah, I'm a different animal. Grant, I grew up in Chicago. I abandoned everyone. I just left. I left family, friends, and just staked out on my own. Stayed in contact with people, but it was never. It was really an independent world. I went from professional baseball, blew my shoulder out, to the trading floor on my own. Didn't work for anyone, just my own fucking money in a casino every day. And like I said, every day, every time you hit the button at the end of the day and tell you what your P or L was, became an existential moment for you at times. And I remember going into my apartment, my studio apartment, when I just started. I thought I got this. I know what I'm doing. I had a great 3 or 4 days, my first week in the pits. I borrowed money for the bond that you had to post to be a trader. Did about 3 or 4 days, put a couple $1,000s in my pocket. I got this. Friday of that week, smoked. I lost everything and then some. I went to my little studio apartment down Battery Park City, downtown New York, shut the shades, closed the door, turned TV off, and like almost just sulked for the whole weekend. My mom said, get up off your ass and go back and get it. You can do this. And it was that, those types of things. I wasn't burdened by family or friends or people wanting or people I had to bring along. It was a very independent career. And it took into television too. I'll tell you, one of the biggest fears I always had was I went from making a lot of money on the trading floor to going into TV making shit compared to what I was making, right? But I loved it. Whatever it was satisfying. It was filling an ego, right? It wasn't filling my bank account. It was filling my ego. And I had more fear of losing those gigs than I did losing money, which goes to what you just said. It doesn't matter the number, it matters the game. You want to be good at the game. I had more fear of fucking Jesse Waters, because they used to play the game of bowling. If you don't do well, Waters is going to take over for you. I'm like, it was always the thing, who's on your heels. Yeah. And so, that until now, where you just go off on your own. But it's the game. It's the arena that matters, not necessarily what the payoff is.
I always wanted to be a TV guy for Fox too.
It was a great gig while it lasted. But,
I'm probably better off that I didn't get it.
Yeah, you're certainly wealthier that you didn't get, I will tell you. But I'll tell you, you make enough money first, and then go do the TV thing later. It was a pretty cool thing. Grant, every successful high-octane dude I know has something that maybe not every night, but some nights keeps him up, keeps him thinking. Now, you may not want to tell me or the audience, but I know you have one or two. You want to let us know what they are?
Yeah, well, I mean, what keeps me up? Yeah, I mean, look, dude, am I a good husband? That bothers me. I know if I have a weakness, it's like I don't give enough attention to the marriage. I don't invest enough time in keeping it fresh and romantical. And look, I'm extremely obsessed human being about the game that I'm playing, and so I know that affects there. Now, when it comes to the kids, dude, I have all the time, all the creativity, unbelievable. Like I am a much better dad than I am a husband. So that bothers me. Two, I mean, if anything bothers me, dude, can I pull off everything that I want to pull off? Like do I need to make the next move?
Am I leveraged here too much? Is this going to any of those?
Yeah, I mean, of course, dude. I got $2 billion worth of debt on $5 billion worth of assets. We don't have any debt in the other businesses, but I always worry about debt. Yeah. Like I worry about it. I worry about not having it. Yeah, that keeps me up. Is the Fed gonna wake up one day and decide rates are gonna go nuclear? Shit, all that scares me, dude. I worry about all kind of bullshit that's probably never going to happen to me.
personally?
But
You worry about personal, your personal
not so much. Not
security.
so. I don't worry about death at all. Like I don't worry about death at all. I don't.
Well,
I don't know
what
why-
about people who are haters? They see Grant and they go, I don't like wealthy billionaires, so
Yeah.
are you a target? I mean, do you worry about those type of things?
No, not really. No, I mean, I've gotten used to the haters. I mean, I got a lot of haters. For some reason, my wife told me yesterday, she's like, man, you're really good at attracting these people. So she's like, I don't know what you do to them, but I think you
do.
actually antagonize people.
No, I do.
You know what I do?
I know, and I know what it is that has people like you, like me, like high volatility people. There are a lot of people who do well and they're in the straight line and they're very consistent and there's not highs and lows. For whatever reason, probably Grant Cardone, Eric Walling have a very similar highs and lows, and high volatility people make many people uncomfortable, and especially when you're on the highs.
Yeah. So I posted recently that Bitcoin was crashing, so I'm going to sell I just bought a global 7,500. I'm going to sell it. Well, everybody assumed I was buying Bitcoin on margin and I had to sell my plane. That's not what I said. I said Bitcoin's crashing. It was a joke, by the way. For you guys that follow me online, I'm half troll and half truth. Okay, like there's for every truth I share, I'm trolling, and I'm a troller and a truther. So there's a little bit of truth and a little bit of troll in everything I say. I am selling the plane. Bitcoin was crashing, but everybody filled in the blanks. It's crazy how many people just assumed, oh, Grant Cardone's going bankrupt because he's on margin with Bitcoin. I've never bought anything on margin. I wouldn't even know how to buy on margin. I'm a real estate guy. Like,
Right. But before we go, I mean, you brought up Bitcoin very quickly. I know we've got a few minutes here left. Bitcoin's been on all over the board. I think of friends like Anthony Scaramucci, who went all in on crypto, and I think of Michael Saylor at Strategy. I noticed you've done some real estate deals tied to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I'm a technical trader. I think if Bitcoin can't hold 60, it's got 35 written on it, and then it could go back up to whatever 250 or million, whatever it is. But it's got to weed out the week long. So, what your final thoughts on are these guys at risk for
Yeah, I think there's some people at risk, right? But what we do is we combine real estate and Bitcoin together. So we purchased about 2,000 coins in the last 24 months or less, and we add institutional quality real estate with the Bitcoin. There's no way I ever lose my Bitcoin. I mean, the Bitcoin could go to zero. I have no control over that. But the Bitcoin could also go to $3 million. Mm-hmm. So what I'm gonna do, we have 15,000 apartments. We're gonna go to 30,000, and we're gonna end up with 10,000 Bitcoin. We're gonna end up with the biggest real estate Bitcoin fund on planet Earth.
Grant, just I don't know this. It's a fund that combines both your real estate holdings and a Bitcoin treasury.
Yeah, so we go buy a piece of real estate in my right hand, and then we buy Bitcoin, and we combine the two in a limited liability company.
Same values?
Not necessarily. Like the last deal we did was $230 million in real estate and $100 million in Bitcoin. But you know, the Bitcoin could be $1 billion. That Bitcoin could be $1 billion at some point. And the real estate would be $300 or $400 million.
Is this a theory that one's a hedge against the other, or
yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah. We're putting two super vehicles, one very stable and one unstable, one liquid and one illiquid, one that's real and one that's not. Smart. We're combining the two together to disrupt the REIT industry.
One's traditional, one's very much
one's old, dude. One's 2000.
Yeah.
One's from the beginning of time, and one's 15-year-old little immature teenager. So what I'm doing is, and I did this. I met with Mike a couple times, Saylor, and I found a glitch in the REIT market. The REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust, as you know, it's a $4.5 trillion industry. It's 65 years old. It hasn't changed in 65 years old. Full of these old dinosaurs that cannot hold any currency on their balance sheet. So we're buying assets from them. Like I'm buying an asset from Blackstone right now. It's $150 million. We'll add 30 or 40 million of Bitcoin. They can't do that. They will never be able to do that by law, by the way, combining the two assets.
Right.
So we'll be first. We're first to market. We'll probably be the only people in the market, particularly because of this pullback. Because some people saw that I was doing this with real estate, became very interested until Bitcoin went to 126 and then down to 65. They're like, "Fuck this! I don't need all that volatility."
There it is.
So we're literally. My goal is, Eric, to to build a new financial vehicle where I believe in the future people will not buy real estate without combining it with this other volatile instrument that really is a new technology of money, not just a store of wealth.
It's brilliant. I love it. Diversified strategy. Yeah, it may be alternative investments, so to speak, but certainly a diversified strategy and maybe something to add to everyone's portfolio. Grant, really good talking to you, man. And maybe next time we do this, we'll get a little bit more deep into some of these investments, because I've never stopped trading. I was born with it. I was never going to.
You still trade today?
Trading. Actively, extremely actively.
Oh wow!
Industries, ETFs, individual stocks, tons of crypto. I still have I walked on to Fox, my first hit on Fox and Friends. I was a new guy from CNBC. I was the finance guy. And Ducey says to me, "Hey, Bowling, hey, business guy, what's the investment?" I pulled a 1 ounce coin, a gold coin, out of my pocket. I still have the receipt from that first ounce I ever bought, $358. That wasn't the one I was using at Fox. It was ballpark $600 at Fox. And I've never sold a single. It's like your Bitcoin. There's certain things you believe in. I believe in gold. I believe in Bitcoin too. Maybe not to the extent you do, but certain things you have conviction about. I would love to maybe do another show where we just talk about all these different asset classes.
Dude, I love it, man. Love it. Love what you're doing.
All right, you too, brother. Really good having you. Grant Cardone, 10X everything. Man is super sick. So I will call you an empire maker and a dynasty maker. Grant, thanks for being on the edge.
Thanks for having me, Eric.
Well, if you enjoyed that interview with Grant Cardone and everyone else, folks, I think we have Jillian Michaels coming up next. So really appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Please share the video and also hit subscribe on the screen right now. Bowling out, edge out. See you next week.